Here are 15 stories that prove one thing about fame. No matter how carefully a secret is protected, it rarely stays buried forever. Hollywood has a long history of celebrities trying to keep parts of their private lives out of the public eye, especially when children are involved. Sometimes it comes from fear, sometimes from shame, sometimes from a belief that the world simply does not deserve access to something so personal. But eventually, the truth has a way of surfacing.
The latest on Arnold Schwarzenegger. His former housekeeper and mistress is breaking her silence, posing with their son for Hello Magazine and describing for the first time how she broke down and confessed to Arnold's wife Maria about the affair. David Wright has the story.
For 14 years, housekeeper Mildred Baena harbored a secret she knew would be devastating to the woman she worked for every day. But in the end, the boy's looks gave his father away. The physical similarities too tough to ignore.
For years, Arnold Schwarzenegger lived a double life without the public realizing it. While married to Maria Shriver, he had an affair with the family's housekeeper, Mildred Baena. The result was a son, Joseph Baena, who grew up in the same household as Arnold's legitimate children, unnoticed by the outside world. Arnold managed to keep the truth hidden for years, but Maria eventually noticed the resemblance and confronted him during therapy. When he confessed, the fallout was immediate. The marriage collapsed, his carefully managed public image cracked, and the story became one of the most infamous secret child scandals in modern celebrity history.
He wondered, but he never said anything to me. Astonishingly, Baena says Shriver insisted she stay on as housekeeper through the holidays, rejecting her offer to quit on the spot. According to the magazine, the former housekeeper and her son are now in hiding, holing up, for now, at a hotel in Phoenix.
Loretta Young's story is one of old Hollywood's darkest secrets. Her daughter Judy Lewis was the result of an affair with Clark Gable, a revelation that had to be hidden at all costs in an era obsessed with moral purity. Young staged an elaborate cover-up, temporarily giving Judy up and later adopting her as her own child. She even went so far as to hide Judy's resemblance to Gable, including his distinctive ears, until the child underwent surgery. Judy did not learn the truth about her parentage until she was in her 30s, long after the damage of secrecy had been done. Decades before his public downfall, Bill Cosby had already been hiding a major secret. In the 1970s, he fathered a daughter with a woman named Autumn Jackson. Rather than acknowledge her, Cosby reportedly paid large sums of money to keep the situation quiet. The secrecy unraveled when Jackson attempted to extort him for more money, pushing the issue into the courts and into the press. What began as a hidden family matter turned into another chapter in a long pattern of deception that would later define his legacy.
Camille Cosby remained silent, even as the number of alleged victims continued to grow. Now Camille has come out describing the man she met in 1963 and married a year later as a kind man, a generous man, a funny man, and a wonderful husband. He is the man you thought you knew.
Steve Jobs built one of the most influential companies in history, yet struggled deeply with fatherhood. He had a daughter, Lisa Brennan Jobs, with his high school girlfriend, but spent years denying paternity, even after DNA evidence confirmed it. Jobs argued in court that he was sterile, a claim that contradicted reality. Lisa grew up feeling unwanted, later writing about the emotional toll of being rejected by a father the world admired. Only later in life did Jobs partially acknowledge her, but the damage had already shaped their relationship forever.
In her new memoir, Small Fry, Brennan Jobs shares her perspective from life with a father who she says could be cruel to moments of shared joy at the piano or on roller skates. Brennan Jobs also describes a largely unstable childhood. At 14, she moved in with her father and his growing family, though he had one condition. She could not see her mother for 6 months.
Clint Eastwood managed to keep one of his children hidden for more than 20 years. While married to Maggie Johnson, he had an affair with stuntwoman Roxanne Tunis, resulting in a daughter, Kimber Eastwood. Kimber lived largely out of the spotlight until tabloids uncovered the truth in the late 1980s. By then, Eastwood's image as a rugged, disciplined leading man was already solid, but the revelation added complexity to his carefully curated personal story.
Well, Jesse, Lori is a mother of two from the small but affluent town of Lakewood, Washington, around an hour from Seattle. A close friend of Lori's tells DailyMail.com that she knew she was adopted and started looking for her biological parents as soon as she became an adult. Clint Eastwood had no idea that she existed.
Tom Jones became a global symbol of charisma and excess, but behind the scenes, he denied fathering a child with model Catherine Berkery for years. Only after a court-ordered DNA test did he admit the truth. Even then, Jones limited his involvement to financial support and never formed a relationship with his son. The secrecy left lasting scars, showing that acknowledgement does not always lead to connection. Reverend Jesse Jackson spent decades as a public moral figure before admitting to a private failing. He carried on a long-term affair that resulted in a daughter, whom he managed to keep hidden for nearly 2 years. When the truth finally emerged in 2001, Jackson issued a public apology, taking responsibility for the deception. For many supporters, the scandal was painful not just because of the affair, but because it clashed so sharply with the image he had cultivated. Both. Wild surprised fans in 2011 when he revealed that he had quietly become a father. Unlike some others on this list, his secrecy came more from fear than denial. He admitted that he was worried about public judgment and wanted to process fatherhood privately before sharing the news. When he finally spoke, he framed it as a moment of growth, acknowledging that his life had changed in ways he wasn't ready to broadcast right away. John Edwards' scandal unfolded at one of the worst possible moments. While his wife Elizabeth battled cancer, Edwards carried on an affair that resulted in a daughter. When the story broke, he denied paternity, allowing a campaign aide to falsely claim responsibility. It took 2 years for Edwards to finally admit the truth, by which time his political career was beyond repair. The secrecy transformed a personal failure into a national disgrace. Flo Rida denied being the father of his son with Alexis Adams, until a paternity test forced acknowledgement. Though he now pays child support, Adams has publicly stated that his involvement stops there. The story highlights how legal recognition does not always translate into emotional presence, leaving children to grow up knowing the truth but feeling the absence. Steve Bing fought paternity claims from 2 women, Elizabeth Hurley and Lisa Bonder, until DNA tests confirmed he was the father of their children. Despite his immense wealth, Bing reportedly excluded both children from his will when he died in 2020. His attempts to deny responsibility became a lasting part of his legacy, overshadowing his success in Hollywood. Eric Clapton's secrets emerged in the most tragic way imaginable. When his 4-year-old son Connor died in a devastating accident, Clapton attended the funeral, holding the hand of another child the public had never seen before. That child was his daughter Ruth, whose existence had been kept private. In a moment of grief, the truth surfaced, revealing a complex personal life hidden behind the music. Eddie Murphy initially denied being the father of Angel, his daughter with Mel B of the Spice Girls. His public statements, insisting on a blood test before acknowledgement, deeply hurt Mel B and fueled media backlash. Although Murphy later accepted paternity and became involved in his daughter's life, the early denial remains one of the most criticized moments of his career. Drake faced accusations of hiding his son Adonis, but he pushed back against that narrative in his music. He explained that his silence was about protecting his child from the chaos of fame, not denying his existence. When he finally spoke publicly, he reframed secrecy as an act of control rather than shame, challenging how audiences interpret privacy in celebrity culture. Alexis Bledo's case stands apart from scandal. She and her husband Vincent Kartheiser married and welcomed a child without public announcements, simply choosing privacy. The truth only came out when a co-star casually mentioned it in an interview. Unlike others on this list, her secrecy was not about denial or controversy, but about drawing a firm boundary between fame and family. These stories reveal how differently celebrities handle the same reality. Some hide out of fear. Some hide out of convenience. Others hide because they believe privacy is a right, not a privilege. But once the truth comes out, it reshapes not only their public image, but also the lives of the children involved. Fame can amplify success, but when it comes to secrets, it almost always amplifies the cost.